We're on to the next part of the 23rd that says, He leads me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. I don't know about you, but the word righteousness often stirs up old thoughts of someone being pious, religious, judgmental, without a smile, legalistic, and it might even be a word that we don't really understand. And what in the heck does for His name's sake mean? We've referred back to the children of Israel many times in these devotionals, and we're going to do that again. To be led in the path of righteousness was to follow God through the wilderness because He always provided His presence by day and night. He sent a cloud for the day and a pillar of fire by night. And they followed Him so that they could have sustenance, security, peace, and wholeness. In other words, the path of righteousness and step behind the shepherd is so that we can see His provision for everything we need, and it's a journey and a life aligned with God. Left to ourselves, we would follow a path of self-destruction many times. Wrong turns, wrong decisions, empty pursuits, self-promotions. In fact, sheep are known to follow other sheep right off of a cliff. So a path of righteousness means to follow the shepherd instead of the sheep. It's that simple, to keep our eyes on where He leads instead of where we wander, and the path of the righteous always leads right to the shepherd. The last part, for His name's sake, means for the sake of demonstrating His character. I don't know when I've ever seen a time when His name has been so defaced and misrepresented in our society. Those who claim to follow God slander one another. They set up fences to keep each other out. They boast of their own strength and abilities and fight and demonstrates all sorts of character traits that are not of God. Hatred, unforgiveness, bitterness, none of these demonstrate or remotely are connected to God, the Good Shepherd. So if we're to be guided in paths of righteousness that lead to the shepherd, these paths have to demonstrate His character. Arrogance and self-exaltation is never representative of His name. Humility and honor represents the God we serve. And that's what will cause other sheep to raise their heads and look up, not at the sheep around them that might follow right off of a cliff, but when they see us following the shepherd, their necks will strain to see who is that up ahead that you're following, so that they too can follow the one that might zigzag back and forth across the mountain so that we arrive safely at our destination. In 1 John 2, it says our sins are forgiven for His name's sake. And Psalm 106:8 says He saved them for His name's sake. If we don't walk the path of righteousness, then we're misrepresenting the name above all names and leading others elsewhere. That's why God intervenes when false teachers or false wolves appear. Any path that does not lead to Him for His name's sake to demonstrate His character is not a path of righteousness. We get sidetracked when we think that this path has to do with practices and rituals. It totally has to do with relationship and obedience to be led to rest and restoration so that when our wounds are healed, we can follow and compel others to follow and see where the Good Shepherd leads. Paths of righteousness are paths where the light shines bright, where our steps are ordered, and where His words are heard loud and clear, and His name is lifted high. If you ever saw the movie Far from the Madding Crowd, there's a scene in the film where an entire flock does fall off of a cliff. I wasn't expecting that scene, and I totally gasped, as did the entire audience. It seemed a dog was spooked and sent an entire group of fearful sheep plunging to their death. That scene will never happen for us if we stay on the path of righteousness, following the shepherd for His name's sake. We won't be spooked to run, but instead will be wooed to stay and be carried when necessary, drink when thirsty, and lie down when we're tired, so that we can continue to follow the strong and the Good Shepherd.